Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Give a little clap. Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Fold 'em in your lap. So we've been talking about the Native Americans, the people that lived here before the Pilgrims came. Today we're going to start talking about those Pilgrims. Can you tell me again, why was it that the Pilgrims came? They didn't like something. They left England to come to America because they didn't like something. What was it?
The king.
The king. What was he saying to them? What was the king saying?
You have to go to my church.
Yeah, the king was saying, you have to go to my church and you can't go to your own church, right?
Or I'll send you to jail.
Or I'll send you to jail. That's right, exactly. So they had to make a big decision. It was hard for them to leave the place that they knew so well and to get on a boat and to come over here. I'm going to read a story today that's called The Story of the Pilgrims. Okay?
Of where? Of where?
The Pilgrims started their life in England and they decided to come to America, which is where we live now. Okay? So this is The Story of the Pilgrims. It's by Catherine Ross and illustrated by Clarlen. And I'm putting my super readers on for this because that print looks really small. Miss Emily needs new glasses so I don't have to double up. Let's see. Once upon a time in the land of England, there lived a small group of people called Pilgrims. The Pilgrims were unhappy because the King of England would not let them go to their own church. He would not let them worship God in their own way. So the Pilgrims packed up their belongings and said a tearful goodbye to their homes and their friends and the world that they knew. On a mild day in autumn, they set sail for a new world called America, which was across the wide ocean. Remember, they couldn't get on an airplane to get there. They had to get on they had to get on a boat. That's right. Other families came along, and together they hoped to find freedom and a better life. More than 100 people squeezed onto a small wooden ship called the Mayflower. What was the name of the ship?
Mayflower.
22 of the Pilgrims were children. For their journey, they brought with them only the simplest things, the simplest foods like hard cheeses, bread, dried beans, and salted meat. Day after day, the Pilgrims saw nothing but the endless ocean and sky. Now and then, a huge slippery body of a whale would break the surface of the water to see what they were doing. They sailed and sailed and sailed through calm days and stormy ones until after 66 days at sea. Wow, how many days? 66 days at sea. They heard the words that they had all been dreaming of for so long. It was land ho! What does that mean when somebody yells land ho on a ship? That means they finally see the land after weeks.
Land ho!
After 66 days of only seeing the water, finally they saw the land.
Land ho!
Land ho. Here we go. Nearer and nearer to the land they sailed until the water was so shallow they could go no further. They dropped anchor in a peaceful bowl-shaped harbor rimmed with sparkling white sand. Dense woods rose up all around. There were no towns, no houses, and no sign of any people at all. The Pilgrims got into a rowboat and rowed ashore to explore this wild land so full of mystery and promise. When they got to the edge of the water, they stepped onto a rock from the boat onto a rock and called it Plymouth Rock.
Plymouth Rock.
Let's see. The Pilgrim men were The Pilgrim men were armed with guns. They had heard that America was full of fierce animals. After many, many days of exploring up and down the coast, they found a deep harbor near good farmland. Here they would make their home. They called the home Plymouth. While some stood guard against the fierce animals, the others began to build houses. The first was long and low and very plain. They called it the common house, for they would all share it. As each day grew a little colder and a little darker, they worked quickly. Winter was coming. A terrible winter it was. There were dark days of bleak and bitter cold, far colder than they had ever known back in England. Snow and sleet and high winds battered the common house, and the little ship anchored in the harbor. The Pilgrims huddled together for warmth, trying to survive on stale food from the long voyage. Many of them became sick. Many of them even died. By the time spring came, there were only 50 pilgrims left, and they were mostly children. What would they do if anyone attacked them, or if fierce animals came in? Surely they would be too weak to fight back. One day, a Native American did come. The Pilgrims had never seen a Native American this close. They were terrified. But this Native American had come in peace. His name was Samoset. Can you say Samoset? A few days later, more Native Americans marched to the village. 60 of them led by a warrior chief. The Pilgrims and the Native Americans made a treaty promising not only to do each other no harm, but also to help each other. A Native American named Squanto turned out to be a special friend. Oh, what was his name? Squanto turned out to be a special friend. He taught the Pilgrims many things: where to find the best fish and how to stamp eels out of the mud at low tide, how to find their way safely through the dark forest, and where to find nuts and berries and wild herbs. What a great friend. Sit up, please. And Squanto taught the Pilgrims how to plant a wonderful new food. It was called corn. Can you believe that the Pilgrims had never seen corn before? They didn't have corn in England back then. In each seed mound, they buried a small fish to help the corn grow. All that first summer in the New World, the Pilgrims fished and hunted and tended their crops. They built more houses to live in and sheds in which to store their supplies. The children worked and explored and played with their few simple toys. So good that Squanto and the other Native Americans came to help the Pilgrims. When autumn came, the Pilgrims rejoiced over their harvest: bright ears of corn and fat pumpkins, peas, beans, delicious squash, and green herbs. They felt so happy about their good fortune that they wanted to celebrate. They knew they could never have survived without the Native Americans. So the Pilgrims invited the Native Americans to join them in a feast. 90 Indians came. 90. 90 Indians came. For 3 days and nights, the Pilgrims and the Native Americans ate and drank and danced and played games together. To remember that time so long ago, a time of brave Pilgrims and life-saving Native Americans, we continue to celebrate the feast. We call it Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. So that is just such a great story. Emerson, if you need to use the bathroom, you may. So friends, I like to celebrate Thanksgiving. Do you like to celebrate Thanksgiving?
My favorite holiday is Christmas.
We eat turkey, we eat turkey, oh so good. oh so good. Always on Thanksgiving, always on Thanksgiving. Yum, 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 yum. Turkey dressing, turkey dressing. Oh so good, oh so good. Always on Thanksgiving, always on Thanksgiving. Yum, 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 yum. Mashed potatoes, mashed potatoes. Oh so good, oh so good. Always on Thanksgiving, always on Thanksgiving. Yum, 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 yum. Homemade biscuits, homemade biscuits. Oh so good, oh so good. Always on Thanksgiving, always on Thanksgiving. Yum, 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 yum.
Home a
Pie and ice cream, pie and ice cream. Oh so good, oh so good. Always on Thanksgiving, always on Thanksgiving. Yum, 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 yum. I just, for a second there, I don't know how I could forget pie and ice cream is my favorite part of the meal.
Mine too.
Awesome. Okay.